welcome to Live at the Forum. I'm Lisa Boyd, and I'm with Equus Workforce Solutions, a Vice President of Operations, and I'm here today with Courtney Arbour, the Workforce Division Director at the Texas Workforce Commission. Thanks for being with us, Courtney.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, Courtney, we know the pandemic has had a significant impact on all states, and tell us what's the biggest challenge you're facing right now in Texas?
I think like many states, we have employers that are just starved for workers and beating the bushes to try to find people to come back into work as their business picks up. And so our governor made the decision that the extended or the pandemic benefits will end next week, which will spur some return to work in many instances. And so we anticipate a lot of people coming into the workforce system that may not have as aggressively been looking for work in the next few weeks. So I think balancing all of that, and our offices are open. Every one of the 180 plus one-stops in the state now is open, at least by appointment only, and doing a lot of things virtually. But we anticipate a large number of people accessing the system needing something. So we've been trying in recent months to remind everyone that the day to get back to work would come, right? And that to not waste a moment. We procured a statewide contract with a company called Metrics Learning, and they have about 5,000 courses in workplace skills and a lot of technical training. And so we've been constantly reminding the public, this is available to you. Please use this, be ready to add it to your resume, put it on your applications when you go back to work. So with that and all of the virtual hiring events that are happening, and all of the social media, every workforce board and the state are pointing as many people as we can now to the one-stops and to different resources in their area to try to help them get back to work over the next few weeks as we see this big, a little bit of a surge coming through.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've all had to pivot significantly. I think we've seen a new focus in many areas with workforce boards, not only on the WIOA common measures, but really about community impact. And talk a little bit about, are you seeing the same thing in Texas? Are there other things you're considering or thoughts?
I'm glad you asked me this question. This is an exciting topic for me because we're in the middle of this, actually. Yesterday one of the speakers said that as a system, it was Ron Painter. He commented that we are underfunded and that a small percentage of our customers actually receive training, but there are so many people out there that need it. And we're viewed by the public often as a training system, but then so many people aren't able to access it just because there aren't enough dollars in our system to physically accomplish it. So we are working on performance measures. While we love to see more funding, let's be clear about that. We're working on performance measures above and beyond what Texas has always contracted other measures. We have a measure to get claimants back to work within 10 weeks, for example. And we make adjustments within the guidelines to get the most out of the measures that we think we can so that the people on the end of our work ultimately benefit. Yeah. But we're working now to go beyond the required measures and try to create some measures that tell the story a little better, that are a little more real time. And looking at, as a system, how we provide a lot of services to help people connect to work or connect to their next job. And then we provide things that truly lift a person. Yeah. We're calling those employability skills building. Our measures that we're working on right now, and Adam Leonard and Reagan Miller and I at the Workforce Commission are working with our commissioners and our leadership to build a denominator for measures that pull different services into different measures, and that we can look long-term over the value of those services to people, and to look at the general public versus those who receive services in the one-stops and what the difference is. Whether it's a series of workshops that we're providing on how to answer questions about your felony in the interview, or helping you with your resume, or the Dress for Success workshops, or many trainings that are provided along the way. there are just so many things that our system does to help people, labor market information and educating young people and older people about how to transition from a job they have to the next one. And so we are building measures that track the value of that, and then it will allow us to tell the story a little better in real time about what it is we do as a system.
Yeah. And what a significant investment it is, even beyond the training. In Texas, you're fortunate that childcare is integrated into the workforce system. And I know you're looking at measures around, even strengthening that integration. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yes, Texas does have the benefit of having, all of the WIOA core programs are through the Texas Workforce Commission, which allows for really good integration and co-location. One of the main programs that is with our agency that often isn't in states is the subsidized child care program. So we've always had some level of integration with the Choices program and other programs and the families coming in receiving child care, moving through some of the workforce programs. But we're developing measures now to incentivize boards and to create a system a structure that pushes boards to build systems that when a family comes in looking for childcare, and if at any point if they lose employment, that they're immediately referred over to the job seeker side, and that we'll have a measure that measures the success of those connections. Yeah. If we have families coming in that are in need of childcare, it's income based, so that they could use a lift.
Right.
So whether they're at a job that really just isn't paying, or if they lose employment, we want the workforce system to really connect with those families and help them move into other jobs.
Yeah, and I think we've seen that, even more important, highlighted as we've seen, the rate that women have dropped out of the workforce during the pandemic, and childcare is so important. Texas has always been on the leading edge of workforce system integration, just talked about, and innovation. Are there new ideas or innovations you're considering going forward?
Well, I will tell you, I was really impressed throughout the last year at how well the workforce boards transitioned. I mean, it felt like overnight they procured the right software to go virtual on their orientations and workshops. They took to the road many times and took their mobile units or their services out so that people could have internet. And you heard those great stories. At the state level, we also realized that, and you may have heard this, we took I'm not in the unemployment division, but we took about 5 years of unemployment claims in less than a year.
Wow. And
so the demand on our system was just so incredible that everybody started doing whatever we could virtually,
right.
or just to reduce the number of calls. So we created with Amazon Workforce Services and Accenture Larry the chatbot, so that anyone could come to our system and ask some of those commonly asked questions to try to help push people to that instead of calling where they were having a difficult time getting through. And we named it Larry after Larry Temple, our former executive director, cool. who we all loved. So Larry the chatbot has been very popular. We also have call centers. That even in the workforce division, we contracted a couple of call centers to make outbound calls. The 28 workforce boards make a lot of calls to claimants to help with job search and getting registered and other programs that might benefit. But at the state level, for the first time, we contracted with call centers to help with those outbound calls. And so they've already made about 1 million calls to claimants, and we'll continue those contracts to continue making calls to those that are no longer claimants, but we know need help or could use some help finding out about one-stops in their area, hiring events that are upcoming. And as I mentioned, those performance measures we think are going to be really crucial in the days and years ahead for telling our story and making sure that we're looking at that we're providing the right kind of services for people when they need it. One other thing I'll mention is that this is a tool that's been around for a while, but we had a board who used some software to do heat mapping to determine where they're in a very large rural area. With 28 boards in Texas, you've got very large areas like Gulf Coast, and then you've
Yeah.
got Concho Valley, which is San Angelo, where there may be more cows than people. In the North Texas area, we had, where you all have a contract, actually.
Yeah, we do.
We have a board who used heat mapping software during this time when people weren't coming in and weren't necessarily accessing services, to find where groups of people were and the types of work that they had done previously, and then using labor market information to see what type of jobs in the area. They were making very direct contact
Targeted.
with people to
Yeah.
try to help match them up. And I think that's something that our system could do a better job with, is pairing up all of our labor market data on the supply side and the demand side. And so that's something that we'll be looking at this next year also.
Wonderful. I think I heard too in our conversation earlier some discussion about some innovation grants that you're looking at doing in Texas.
Yes, our commission actually discussed this yesterday at a public meeting, and we'll be firming it up over the next couple of weeks. But the commission really wants to reward and award funds to workforce boards who bring to us the most innovative ideas for how to continue serving the public. So there, I mentioned there were a lot of ways that we transitioned as a system, and a lot of innovations just sort of popped up. But we will be asking the boards, and we'll have a competitive process to tell us their most innovative plans and provide us some data on how they would implement it and how they would sustain something if funding were available. And we'll be making grants available to 5 boards at $200,000 each. And we'll be scoring it based on just how innovative they can be with the dollars that we have available.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I'll tell you next time I see you what we're doing exactly, or
All right.
what great ideas are coming out of that.
That sounds good. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I really appreciate the opportunity here. I've been watching some of these interviews, and it's so interesting to hear from other states what they're doing. I think we're all in this together.
Yeah.
We as a system have a chance to shine here with everything that's going on. We are, I think, the most valuable system to so many people right now who really need to make a transition, and employers who really need the help. So I appreciate the opportunity to visit today, and I hope we'll have more success stories to share next time I see you.
I'm sure you will. All right. Thank you very much, Courtney. And thank you all for joining us live at the forum. We hope to see you here next year.